What is up? This is going to be the trade review for December 27th, 2019. Only two trades were taken. I didn't plan on trading this day, but I decided to get in on it. I got in later in the afternoon. Only took two trades. And both of these trades relate to one another. I'm very happy with this. Two trades, no over trading. That's always good. Definitely redeemed myself I'm reviewing this on Saturday. This is from Friday, but I redeemed myself on this day compared to on Monday, where the low volume just totally sort of killed me. I can't trade that type of price action. I need to wait for the right setups. This had a nice range to it. Both of these trades are relatively long, but we'll watch the entries and exits and talk about some of the key points. The first one, they're both shorts. Again, they relate with each other. Time in on the first one's 11 minutes and 51 seconds. You can see it went against me 5, and it only went my favor 2. The next trade is 47 minutes and 26 seconds. Very beautiful trade, which yielded what? 9, 10, 11 ticks here. So that's an 11 ticker right there. Really nice setup. If I could do this kind of trading every day, I would definitely really enjoy that. This trade right here is a setup I've been trying to nail for the last few weeks now, and I finally was able to nail it at the right point. And unfortunately, I got out early. You'll see what happened. I definitely left quite a few ticks on the table, but I didn't expect it to do what it did. And it only went against me 2. It went in my favor 12 ticks. So let's go ahead and jump into it. You can see that the 2-tick loss up here, I got out at 153, and then I got in a few minutes later at 155. So let me give you some context of what's happening here. So you can see that we have this double layer of size, okay? Now, generally when I just turn the computer on, especially in the afternoons, I'm not going to immediately trade. I'm going to let everything ride out for a little while. You can see there's 609 and a 572. This is a double layer. That tells me this is pretty serious. It's one thing if I see size sitting there and it's only at one price level, but if I see a dual layer of size sitting, that tells me something. And clearly we've traded above it. So if we look, at the TPO here, we had an open drive down. And when I saw the price action for yesterday, obviously, I mean, look how tight it was leading into Christmas. Really not much going on there. Not a typical range for the ES by any means. But once I saw what happened on Thursday, I'm like, okay, it seems like everybody's coming back. And, I mean, we're breaking highs again. I'm like, this thing can't go on forever. Unfortunately, I missed the morning, which was an open drive down. And then, I mean, it bounced back up on the B here, and then it chopped around, and I guess it came up to this point where the E is, and it started falling back down. Now, here's what I noticed. If you look at this, that size is at 44.75 and 45 even. if we look at the profile, this is the current, this is Friday, this is the 27th. So this profile on the right is exactly the same profile here. This profile didn't, let me go back. So you can see where the M and the N are. That's the end of the day down here. So right at the last hour of the day, we broke new lows for the day. So if you discount that, this profile actually, where was the bottom set at? 37.75. So A and B is at 37.75. So if we go here, 37.75 is right where the white line is. So if you kind of shave off the bottom of the profile and it doesn't exist, that's what I was seeing, which helped aid this particular trade decision. This profile had a very bearish unbalance. It's almost shaped like a lowercase b. You can see the bulk of the volume is near the bottom of the overall profile, signifying it is bearish. And you can see we tagged a few ticks right above yesterday's VPOC when we did put those lows in. However, again, if we look at where this dual layer is, that tells me this is pretty serious. I noticed that it was at 44.75, 45 even. So what I did was I came into the profile, and this is 45 even, and this is 44.75. So this size came in on yesterday's all-time high. So even though we did trade above it, we started to trade below it, and clearly somebody started putting in size. So this was an all-time high on Thursday because sellers defended this level. This was a level that sellers were willing to defend. Obviously, they put in a nice bell curve right here. Thursday sort of has that beautiful triple distribution shape. You know, you have, I mean, you got a smaller one here, but you definitely have that bell curve. The middle one is a little odd, obviously, but you have a nice bell curve right here and near the low. Very balanced looking profile. More balanced than how this one looks on Friday. But sellers are clearly wanting to defend this. To me, it looks like, let's see if the overnight highs is what drove the market up. Yeah, so the overnight highs did drive the market up. So that's probably why we had the open drive down, in my opinion. I'm not that good at predicting what may happen the next morning. Obviously, that's a skill I want to work on. So, yeah, the overnights did, and you can see this orange is where it opened. So the overnight highs did, the overnight session did put in new highs. But this level is being defended. 44.75. So 44.75. So we did have an open drive, and we went through it, through the Thursday profile level. We did come above it a little bit. And then we obviously came back through it. 46. Okay. So I'm just kind of studying this right now because this is a trade review. So the top of K right here came in at 46 even, which 46 even is a higher node right here. So let's go ahead and get into this. So there was really not much volume. A very sideways, slight drift up, which it's hard for me to trade that. I need to get in a prime position. I can't sit in something like this unless I get into a prime position. So if we go back, I'm trying to see here. You won't be able to see it because that stochastic screen blocks it. But you can see the prints down here. We tagged right near this low node. And if you were to draw a bell curve, you can kind of see it from 45.25 to 40.75. It's not perfect by any means. It's got these random high and low nodes sprinkled without. That right there is going to cause turbulence in the trading. Here you can see the size is coming in, and it's just holding firm for a good while. So the longer the size holds a position, the more real it is, in my opinion. So this is where I go short. Let's go ahead and go back. So I'm seeing this size sitting here, and I realize that it aligns with the top of Thursday. It's a dual layer. It's near the top of this bell curve, so therefore it's has a high probability of bouncing back right here and coming at least back into the point of control. If not, it should come back and test this low node at 40.75. In fact, since we did trade way down here, this is sort of a pattern I'm always looking for. You test one side of the bell curve, which would be down here, and you can kind of see it if you were to draw a line from 40.75 to 45.25. You can see that it has that nice curve, even though the profile has some areas that aren't filled in. So we traded down here and we're bouncing up. We go through the VPOC relatively easy on our way up. And that tells me that there's a high probability this is going to bounce right here, especially since I have so much going for this trade. It's a dual layer that's been here for a long time, and it's defending Thursday's all-time high. So I'm going to take a shot and fade it. If it doesn't work out, I'll reverse it. But my theory is I should be able to go short here, take on some risk, and it should, in theory, come back down here, which it does work out. Should come back down to the 41 even zone. So it's a very, very low volume. You can see the tape's relatively blue. The strength meter is definitely in favor of the buyers. So I'm like, I'll get in right here. I'm going for the short at 44.50. You can see I marked yesterday's high on there. I'm looking at how long this has been there for, just to sort of confirm. We got a few blue blocks here, and the tape definitely comes in play pretty well here to confirm the move down, because I do get shaken out of this first trade. So you can see it's taking a very, very, very long time to get the fill. Again, it's very low volume. Get the fill. We have a little back printing there, so it's going to go through. I started to realize maybe I should have tried to go for 44.75. But sometimes it just bounces right here, and then you're not able to get this price, See, with it trading up here, I knew that it's going to trade into 44.75. Now you have even more layers coming in, these 400s above it. So you have this 4-layer type deal coming in to defend it. So I know sellers, big sellers, big sellers want to defend this. Zooming the interval of the chart. It's currently, I set it to 14 seconds. So you may see me messing with that here. I'm typing in my risk zone at this point. So you notice I'm not covering the trade. It's so low volume. Also approaching up here with low volume, low velocity, in my opinion, it's going to be a little more difficult to get through this level. If we approach size with a lot of velocity in a very violent manner, it seems to breach it a little more easy. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of blue blocks on the tape. I'm not scared because of that. You can see that this 500 up here is definitely holding firm. It's not pulling. And it looks like 44.75 is reloading. A lot of iceberging right there. And they could be doing that. You know, you have aggressive buyers coming in. Obviously, they just cleared it. Sellers aren't hitting back at 44.75. There they go. They just cleared it. So it seems like sellers are reloading the ask here. Once it gets cleared out, it seems like they do eventually attack 44.75 with aggressive market orders. And I think they're keeping it low right here to bait buyers in. So this seems like a spoof almost in a sense. But buyers definitely attempt to fight up here. So it's kind of low volume. It's sort of a showdown right now. Nobody's hitting the other side. No volume, and barely trickling in there. So this is what I would call a showdown. It's sort of the calm before the storm. Generally, it'll get quite violent here in a little bit. Sellers aggressively, look at that, 291 on the tape, take out 44.50. Sellers attacking again aggressively. Buyers attack back. You can see sellers are coming in to defend this level with a 405. So that's good. That's good. They're attempting to defend that level. But the aggressive selling isn't quite there yet. I don't know if maybe the bigger sellers are waiting for other sellers, other aggressive sellers to step in, or they're just trying to wait for the buyers to tip their hand. Because at this level, it's pretty clear that there are two very large buyers, or two large traders, I should say, going at it with each other. So this is where the trade goes in my favor too, right here, and then it will come back in on me. So I'm like, you know, this is good. This is a roll. This is a good play. It just makes sense. It makes sense to take this trade. It just makes so much sense. You can see that that large order isn't there. So my guess is maybe are they pulling? There it is. It's starting to creep in. So it's looking like they moved it down. And only 18 buyers hit back here versus the 479. So that definitely tells me sellers are in control. Here they come back. 135 block on the tape just came in. Now they're trying to defend the VWAP. You can see that force 10 is stepping up. A large bid versus a large ask here. This is pumping up to 613. That's always a good sign. Of course, some of it may pull off when we get into it. But I know it's firm. Again, a little bit of a showdown. And both sides are waiting for the other one to make a play. So we'll kind of see what happens. The shakeout's very interesting, and I really need to get a good eye on what happened there. Which I get out at, what, 53? Still have some time. Aggressive blocks coming in, so I'll pause it there. You can see quite a few. So that's good. Well, I mean, that's not good for me, but you can see that the buyers finally decided to make a move. You know, yeah, 135, 100, 230, 155. Sellers decided to make a move, but they only got through. They only got up to here. They didn't really clear out that many levels. Sellers are fighting it back. Sellers are willing to aggressively sell at 44.75 to defend this level. You can see a 203 block on the seller side came in there. Quite a bit of red on the tape. And the thing is, these smaller red orders, these smaller selling orders definitely had an impact and dropped it down just now. Of course, we got the 100 block coming in. So this is a level where both sides are going to flex on each other. And one side's bound to give up. I just find this to be pretty fascinating here. No aggressive buying coming in at that 44.75. Again, it gets pretty quiet, and then you have these block orders rush in. So buyers attempted a rush and got really nowhere. But even though they attempted the rush, they're still in a good position. So this is definitely a standoff. You can see the size here. It's being sandwiched. It's a pinch zone. There we go. Now that 600 is pulled off. When we tested it, that is a bit concerning. Now we got the 518 here. But still, when we got into it, it pulled off a little bit. A little bit of aggressive selling, more aggressive selling here. Gonna let this trade play out. We're not gonna let the next one play out for 47 minutes, but we'll definitely look at the entry on it. Aggressive selling. Good to see. It's just that 44.25 is definitely an issue. Because that bid's pretty firm. You can see it's pulling off a little bit. It's now at 352. It's pulled off even more. So I'm looking to get out at 43.50. Just to front run that VPOC. I'm like, okay, it could possibly bounce there. It may not go all the way through. They could possibly bounce there. 230 on the tape. So this is where I exit. It's about to get pretty violent right here. You're going to see a lot of aggressive buyers just jam the market up. Again, no volume, really. The quiet before the storm. You can see they're starting to flex right here. Bang, right there. If you look at it, you have all these large blocks of 200 and more, plus 265, 166 is 474, which I believe that 474 cleared out that large size that was sitting here, 130. Sellers aggressively hitting back. It happened so quickly, and now buyers are clearly they're closing off this area. So this is a trade I would dub the resistant flip, where what was resistance turns into support, and that's what it's starting to look like. That was very aggressive buying, but as you can see, the market's sinking in relatively quickly, and I'm not seeing any blocks on the sell side. So let's watch that again. So this 230 right down here was in play before that push up, and then they just started jamming it with all these large blocks, and the only sell block I'm seeing is this 100. But notice the market starts, well, we got a 99 there. Notice the market sinks in, and there's not many blocks. I decided to get out right here because you have this 620. I didn't like that, but the thing is, reviewing it and something I noticed, I mean, I wanted to get out of it first and foremost because it just looks like a resistant flip. So I'm only trading what I see, but the trade is in my favor in the sense that it spiked up and it's falling back in relatively quickly with no sell blocks. So that tells me that sellers are eating up all the orders that the large buyer has thrown at it. And also, I do notice this pattern. I haven't seen it in a while, but it does happen where you're testing size like this. You'll have a quick spike through, and it'll just jam back down or fall back in very quickly. When that happens, generally that's the end of the move. That's the end of the move. And the thing is, if you were to look at historically, say, a volume histogram that goes sideways on a chart, you'll notice that you'll see these large volume spikes right at the end of the move. So that's exactly what this is a large volume spike to show that this is the end of the uptrend at this particular zone. But also but also using my methodology, again, this is a dual layer of size. It's at the edge of a bell curve, and it is defending the previous day's high. So it just makes sense to play it. But that is the volume spike for the end of the move. I'm just now figuring that out, but that's my theory on it. And sellers are pulling it back down. So sellers just, you're not seeing the large blocks. And they're dropping the market back in after such aggressive buying. That aggressive buying was sort of, to me, that seems like the buyers were throwing everything they had at that moment at it. I mean, clearly, 474, that's very large. So it seemed like somebody was mashing the lift the ask button where you clear everything out in the price above. And they attempted it through several price levels. They broke through, but the sellers took it all and sank the market in on, it had to have been lower orders because as you can see, let's go back. Let's see if maybe the buy orders were canceling off on the way back down so that, let's see if when it comes down, if these bids start to cancel off. So there's that 230. This is about to be the jam right here. This is that volume spike you would traditionally see on a chart. So you have, it's already aggressively being sold into, but these are smaller orders. I'm thinking these are orders less than 20 because, I mean, my tape should be more red and my filter's at 20. So let's see this 215, 100 come in to attack it, reloads, and then it gets knocked out. And it gets knocked out on smaller orders. We got 177 here. It's holding kind of firm, gets knocked out. And it's getting knocked out on what? So, I mean, the sellers aggressively ate up the bids above this zone. I'm getting out just because that 600 right here is definitely firm. Now we're starting to see a large ask step in. Look at the market is just stuck in, this is beyond a pinch. This is literally two large orders head on head with each other. There's no one tick space in between them. So this is unlike back here, you notice there was a zone of 2 ticks where the large size was sandwiching it. This is just raw head on head flexing the biggest size at the current price type thing. So that's good that the ask is flexing even though it's not as big as the bid. The bid, look at the bid just started falling off. Again, it was in the 600s. Now we're at 459 and we've barely had anything trade in it. We had a 100 block just attack 45 even, 270. They seems like they're going to reload. The sellers are going to reload that level. And you notice that bid fell off. Only 124 traded here. So that large size that was 600 wasn't even real. So maybe my conclusion is maybe the sellers who were defending this level put in that 600 and it's a spoof and they're trying to bait more buyers in so they can gear up for the ultimate short. We got 115 on the block, but just looking at it now, this just sort of confirms that this is going to go short. I'm kind of waiting for a long, but I'm not going to take it yet because that 600 pulled off, and that's not a good thing to see. Now it's getting blasted in. Look, the size is coming back in. Hold on real quick. So the size is coming back in at 45 even. So yes, we got through it. Sellers pushed it back down. Now they're closing up that area again. So now this is a good confirming thing that this is definitely sellers are going to continue to defend this level. And I think at that point the buyers really exhausted themselves on that attack. So I'm looking to go short again. because I've seen this type of price action. Obviously, that size is pulled off. I don't like that. Give me just a second here. Okay. And this is the start of the good trade. So I decide to go short here. You know, you have these selling blocks. That's good. I want to see if we can get through this level. I mean, it was just everything I saw in the tape and the way the price action was, it just made sense to get back in and go short. That 200 block filled me. Got a little bit of size coming in right here. So let's go ahead and just sort of so my risk zone is 45.25. I'm going to hold it here. I chose it because it's a lower node. It should be a little more difficult to get in there. And we're sort of on this higher volume edge here. So it should, in theory, hold. So I'm going to fast forward it. I mean, it's pretty flat there. You have size coming back in, which is good. You have size coming in back up here, which is good. Buyers are still attempting to defend this level. But, I mean, they're exhausted after that up move. There's just... So here we go. We're stalling on this price, which is good. No aggressive buying. And we're at 337. So... got some aggressive blocks. Buyers are fighting it, trying to push it up, trying to absorb right there, trying to defend and to hold, which, I mean, that VWAP is a lower node. And then you got this higher node and the lower node. So I know it's going to be turbulent in this area, but we're breached it. We breached it. Buyers aren't jamming it back up. That's a good sign. Now you can see I put a target to get out at 43.50, which I do cancel. I do cancel that off. I want to show you the cancellation of that. So I know that this 44 even is going to be a bit difficult to get through, but we get through it so easily. It's a higher node. I cancel the order off. I'm like, you know what? I'm I'm speculating like at this point I know that this was it. This was the push through. Buyers failed. I know that it was heavily defended. It stayed defended. I know that at this point we're going to cross the profile down here in the 41 even zone. So let's go ahead and fast forward it because it does you can see it just jams down. These are stop orders from the buyers who aggressively attacked up here, going off. I'm typing in the bounce zone at 42.75 because I noticed it bounced there. Sort of this low node right here. But we're crossing, now we're chopping and crossing through the VPOC. I know it's going to be turbulent here, and I know we're going to struggle with getting through here. There's going to be a lot of block orders coming in at these particular prices, but I'm going to sort of disconnect and ignore it because I know I'm in a good position. I know this pattern. I know that there's a high probability it's going to go down at this point, and I'm not going to let anything shake me out as far as large block orders go. Again, it's going to be turbulent here. These are the most popular prices. So I keep fast forwarding here. So it does come up and test my entry, which I do get a little bit nervous about, but I do have size defending it at 455. Remember, at 44.25, the VWAP buyers defended it. Well, now sellers are defending the price right above it, which is good. My entry is being defended. We have a block come in. That 400 is pretty firm. Buyers aren't even attempting to get it. And if this price level does fail, that's signs that this is definitely going to attempt to go up higher if we get through here. Because I'll see this sort of pattern where it tests the high of the profile, it comes in, or the high of the fair market value area, it comes in and it bounces somewhere off the VPOC and it'll test even higher. So there's a true possibility, there's a possibility that could happen right here, which it fails. Also, my stochastics were doing a lot of things in my favor for the trades as well. Where are we? So if you really look at over here, the stochastics are sort of rolling over from the overbought level. So that's always good. Kind of let it play out to where we are at. So after we test this zone at 44.50, we don't test here again. And that's right there, that's that. So it falls back in. Now I'm looking for it to go through the VPOC, which it does. That's a good sign. It's going to chop through. Now we're putting in, if you were to draw a trend line, this would be like a higher or a lower high. So that's good right there. And then you could draw one down here as well. You got the lower low. So it's sort of like a channel almost. Not that that really matters to me, but that's sort of a good sign just looking at it. So we're at that bounce zone. I'm a little concerned here. This high node's being defended. And it does bounce it again. Now, my thing is this high volume edge, this 4350 with over 34,960 contracts versus 16,950 contracts, this should start to act as resistance. So it cannot cross this because obviously it's sort of a down, up, down, Elliott wave looking pattern. You can see I'm considering covering here. I just need that 4350 to hold. Again, we're attempting to attack this 4250. We go for it. Aggressive block. I mean, sellers or buyers are absorbing. So I'm looking to get out right here, which I do get out right here at 3241.75. Why? Because that's near the bottom of this fair market value area, this bell curve. And I know this high node could be an issue. In fact, if you notice right here when we were testing, it was only testing the VPOC right there. So that's a good sign that the VPOC is acting as resistance. I know this is going to be a turbulent area. So here we go. This is actually where I needed to defend. This is the high volume edge. This is where it needs to defend right here. So you can see I'm covering for it. I'm like, all right, I got to take the trade off if we get through here. Because then that's just the sign that this down move's over with and we're going to test higher. There's a very high volume edge though. Boom, that's good. 298 slams in. You don't see any blocks, but that's good. Buyers aren't taking that. Then it sinks in. Again, getting through here is going to be an issue. This is where it really gets pretty violent. It's at 240, 20 minutes before close. So volume's going to pick up. It is picking up. So we're trading on the bottom half of this larger node. We're trading on the lower half of it. That's a good sign. $135 on the tape. Still a little turbulent there. 4250 should hold as temporary resistance at this point. Took a screenshot. Right above my price here. And this is where I get the fill. Done with the trade. But watch this. Quite a few blocks coming in. A lot. Volume immediately starts picking up right here. I was considering another trade, but I just wanted to be done because, I mean, that was a long, grueling trade. Obviously, 4150 is holding. There we go. Aggressive attacking. Really, I should have went short at 40.75 or considered it. And just watch the market just tumble in. 40 even looked like it was being defended for a good while there. That's something I should have looked forward to. So that 40 even is going to be a little bit of a pain to get through. Boom, block on the tape. There we go. And this thing just sinks in. It tags. It's going to tag right above the VPOC of the previous day, you can see, which is 35.25. Getting near the low of the day here. And again, the profile was bearish in appearance. A little bit of a pullback to the 40. That's to be expected because that size was sitting there. We breached it, and it just had a little bit of the pullback. That sort of shakes out the retail traders, in my opinion, which allows the larger traders to get a fill. And we're going to continue to tumble down. So I'm counting how many ticks I left on the table because I was posting a tweet on the whole setup there. And currently I left about 10 ticks on the table, which would have doubled that trade relatively quickly. So we're chopping above the 40 even. And the size is coming at 39 even to prop the market up. You can see, of course, sellers are going to attack it. Oh, now we got that 616 come in. I don't remember it slowing down this much right here. Here we go. This is going to be the attack and the drop, I bet. Right here. Boom, there it is. Quick push. Oop, I'm trying to scroll like it is the DOM. But it doesn't go. Now we're breaking new lows here, and that's just, you can see the tapes changing colors. 37.50. Do we rush 37.50? We do. Let me. Oh, sorry about that. But anyways, well, the low, the VPOC again on the previous day was 35.25, which is right here. We tag just above it, and then you can see I'm typing it. Tag just above it, and that is a major bounce. all the way back up, and then we come back up here and the market closes. So I did leave quite a few ticks on the table. Should have got back in the trade, just didn't do it. I wanted to wait for the best setup. Waited, got it. Didn't want to risk it. So 2 trades, I'm happy with it. Obviously, it could have worked out better if I would have held it. I mean, I think it worked out so well, just because it was the end of the day. And at the end of the day, typically we'll see in that last hour or 30 minutes, we do see a breakout of new highs or lows. Usually there's a good trade at the end of the day that can set up. So that was that trade or that setup. Just happy with it. So that's redemption. I knew I would do well that day. Didn't think I would do this good, but yeah, I got shooken out. But at the time, it made sense that I needed to get out. I mean, it was such aggressive buying, and I was only trading off what the market was telling me. So hope you enjoyed that one there.